Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sitra Tariq and my roll number is EP177145. And the topic of my presentation is neoplastic disorders. And the subtopic which I am covering is treatment 1. Here I will discuss about the treatment of neoplastic disorders. First, we have endocrine therapy. Endocrine therapy can be used to treat several common cancers, in which we have breast, prostate, endometrial cancers, which arise from hormone-sensitive tissues. These tumors grow in response to endogenous hormones that trigger growth signals by binding to specific receptors located on a cell membrane or within the cytoplasm of a cell. Current endocrine therapies inhibit tumor growth by blocking the receptors or by eliminating the endogenous hormone feeding the tumor. Not all tumors arising from hormone-sensitive tissues respond to endocrine manipulation. Lack of response could be associated with hormone-resistant tumor cells or inadequate suppression of the endogenous feeding hormone. Now we have endocrine therapy used for hormone-sensitive tumors. Here we have different classes. First we have anti-estrogens. Here the drug of choice we have is tamoxifen, torimifene. The dosage form which we have is 10 to 20 milligram for tamoxifen. It is given twice daily, while 60 milligram per oral given daily for torimifene. And the side effects which caused by using these drugs are disease flare, edema, thromboembolism, endometrial cancers, and it is indicated for breast cancer. The second class we have is aromatase inhibitor. The drug of choice we have here is anastrozole, extremistane, and anastrozole is given in 1 milligram per oral daily, while extremistane is given in 25 milligram per oral daily. The side effects which caused by using these drugs are insomnia, increased risk of bone fracture, and it is indicated for both breast and prostate cancer. Now the third class we have luteinizing hormone releasing hormone analog. Here we have drugs which is leuprolide, goserelin, triptorelin. Leuprolide and goserelin is given subcutaneously, while triptorelin is given intramuscular every 28 days. And the side effects caused by using these drugs are lethargy, rash, postural dizziness, ataxia, and nausea. And it is also indicated for both cancers, that is breast and prostate cancer. Now the drug of choice we have is anti-androgens. Here the drug of choice we have is frutamide, and it is given in 250 milligram per oral thrice daily. And the side effects which caused by using these drugs are hot flashes, nausea, and it is indicated for prostate cancer. The next class we have is progestins. The drug of choice here we have is medroxyprogesterone acetate, and it is given in 400 to 1000 milligram intramuscular every week. And the side effects which caused by using these drugs are vaginal bleeding, edema, thromboembolism, and it is also indicated for prostate and breast cancer. The next class we have is estrogens. The drug we have is ethinyl estradiol, and it is given in 1 milligram per oral thrice daily. And the side effects which caused by using these drugs are thromboembolism, hepatic dysfunction, and it is indicated for anorexia breast. And the next class we have androgens, and the drug we have is floxymistrone, and the dosage form and the dosage which is given 10 milligram per oral twice daily. And the side effects which caused by using these drugs are alopecia, and it is indicated for breast cancer. Now we have signal transduction pathway inhibitors. By understanding the mechanism by which cancer cells exhibit unregulated growth and immortality and possess the ability to invade tissues and metastasize, it has been possible to design drugs that inhibit these processes. Angiogenesis inhibition. Angiogenesis, the main process for new blood vessels formation, occurs during wound healing and disease states such as cancer. It occurs through either remodeling, migration, and proliferation of pre-existing blood vessels. biologic response modifiers. Biologic response modifiers used to treat cancers including proteins, antibodies in which we have monoclonal and polyclonal, and growth factors. These agents can be used to kill cancer cells and an individual immune system plays a crucial role in developing or eradicating cancer. Now we have interferon alpha. The first recombinant cytokine to become available for the treatment of cancer was interferon alpha. This interferon affects tumor cells through several different mechanisms, including a direct antiproliferative effect or an immunomodulatory effect on natural killer cells, T cells, B cells, and macrophages. The third we have is an induction of tumor cells antigen, and the fourth we have is a differentiating effect on tumor cells. Interferons also possess anti-angiogenic effects. Case study shows that interferon alpha has anti-tumor effects against several human malignancies. Interferon alpha is sometimes given in combination with radiation therapy or chemotherapy agents. Now we have interleukin-2. Interleukin-2 is a recombinantly produced lymphokine that has numerous immunoregulatory functions. In normal cells, interleukin-2 stimulates both T and B cells proliferation and differentiation. The idea to use interleukin-2 to treat cancer arises from the observation that lymphoid cells incubated with interleukin-2 develop the capacity to lyse tumor cells, lymphokine-activated killer cells. This observation led to the development of some adoptive immunotherapies. Now we have angiogenesis and anti-angiogenic agents. Tumor cells signal new blood vessel formation through secretion of growth factors such as vascular endothelial growth factor VEGF and platelet-derived growth factor PDGF, which interact and activate receptor tyrosine kinase signaling within the endothelial cells. Subsequent cascade signaling downstream activates the cell nucleus and initiates angiogenesis through endothelial cell proliferation, migration, differentiation, and tubule formation. Agents that block this signaling process are shown as bevacizumab, monoclonal antibody block VEGF, and sorafenib and sunitinib small molecule inhibitors that block several different targets associated with angiogenic process RAF, MEK, and ERK kinase enzyme. This is the diagrammatic representation of angiogenesis and anti-angiogenic agents, which I have explained in the previous slide. This is the just diagrammatic representation. Tumor cells. Here we have growth factor secretion, growth factor signal endothelial cells, angiogenesis, bevacizumab. As I've told you, it is monoclonal antibodies and it will block VEGF. Here we have small molecules inhibitors, sorafenib and sunitinib. It will block several other targets associated with angiogenesis process. Now we have a case study. A 40-year-old man with no significant medical history presents to his physician with complaints of abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, weakness and weight loss. On physical examination, he is noted to be slightly ectatic and the only significant laboratory abnormality is mild anemia. Hemoglobin level is 11 gram per deciliter, normal range is 14 to 18. Hematocrit 33%, normal range is 39 to 49%. A CT scan of the abdomen reveals a mass present in the pancreatic area that is suggestive of malignancy. TJ is referred to a surgeon who explained that the first step in evaluating the mass is to obtain a tissue biopsy. TJ asks the surgeon why he cannot remove all of the mass rather than take only part of it. He also wants to know whether this malignancy will be treated with surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, hormones, or immunotherapy. What is the basis for determining which cancer treatment modality is best suited for TJ? Because a tissue diagnosis of malignancy has not been made, the appropriateness of more extensive surgery for TJ cannot be determined at this time. In most cases, either surgery or radiation therapy is the initial choice of therapy for localized tumor. That's all for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.